so happy we alive.
Welcome to welcome to www.moresongs.com. Today we're in Washington, D.C. with Mr. Cliff Thornton, who is the founder and the chief operating officer of an organization known as Efficacy. Maybe just briefly, Cliff, you could tell us about Efficacy.
Well, Efficacy is a grassroots organization that looks at peaceful ways of responding to social problems. The primary goal of Efficacy right now is to try and get rid of the crime and violence as is associated with the drug war, but more specifically to bring the drug war to an end. I also might mention too that I was just elected to the board of NORML, and I'm very proud of that. But the anecdote that I would like to convey is this, and it's very simple, it's nothing hard about it. We arrest people for drug charges. We send those people to jail or to prison. While they are in prison, they get as many drugs, if not more, than they did while they were outside of the prison. My question is this: why are we doing that? Because we're doing that because, and let's just say, for argument's sake, the person serves his time in prison and he's cured of drugs. This person goes right back, more than likely, to the same environment from which he came. Now, that person is going back to an environment that's high risk. The same drug taking and drug dealing is still going on. And we expect that individual not to use drugs. I think it's a trap. It's all a big setup. Now, that's like, to me, giving a reformed alcoholic a job in a package store and expecting that individual not to drink. Now, we have to put this thing into proper context. We're privatizing our prisons. And by privatizing our prisons, the bottom line for them is a profit. And in order to receive that profit, they need a commodity. And the commodity right now is the inner cities. It's an unending feeder pool for the expansion of the prison industrial complex. That's one of my stories.
Really? Cliff, we've seen each other over the years.
Yes.
And
quite a friendship too, I might add.
Thank you. I just wonder, do you feel like that progress is being made in these specific issues, the war on drugs and...
Well, I can only gauge progress like this. We can look at the medical marijuana initiatives, but we also can look at things like, my organization started up maybe 5-6 years ago. And the 3 years ago, it was very difficult for my organization to get the speakers in to talk to groups about the war on drugs. 2 years ago, they were somewhat interested, and we had 4 or 5 gigs. Today, we cannot fulfill our obligations for speaking tours. I'll just tell you, all last year I've spoken to 6,000 people from Boston to southern New Jersey. And the demand for people to speak on this subject has become overwhelming. What we need to do is to get more people out there speaking so we can have a sustained presence in the media. And when we start doing that, having a sustained presence in the media, we will begin to really turn this thing around. So progress is being made, but it's very small. And for people like myself who are constantly within the movement, it is hard for me sometimes to take myself out and look at where I started and where I am right now. But there is progress being made.
I was going to say, more, along those lines of the media, it's been my observation that many stories and issues which I have read in the Efficacy Journal, I never see them in the mainstream press or on mainstream news programs, things that are very relevant to the black community and to our community as a whole. Do you feel like there's any? I mean, every once in a while there will be, a little blip or something, but as far as coming across to the mainstream America, it seems like it's pretty much closed down to me. At least we're in our area of the country, the Midwest.
You're right, Patrick. Though that is true, and that's true because of a couple of reasons. First of all, there's not a lot of money in the drug policy reform movement to get people out there to spread the word to the people. Secondly, we have a hard time pulling in enough good people to do the speaking about drug policy. The only way we're able to do that is, first of all, have those monies and have the speakers. But even that is beginning to turn around, because I work closely with a group up in Syracuse, New York, called Reconsider. They were fortunate to get a large-scale grant which sent us on a speaking tour. Now, a speaking tour serves two purposes. First of all, it serves the purpose of getting the message out to the people at these groups. And secondly, when we have these speaking engagements, the press always shows up. But in order to get this to where it's discussed at the dinner table all the time about looking at alternatives, we have to have sustained presence out there. And again, it's the money that stops us from getting out there.
Keith Strop just said that when he was talking about progress, he was speaking in terms of 5 years. Do you recall the exact?
Yeah, Keith Strop is saying that in 5 years he's predicting that marijuana will be legalized. I like to see that happen, because marijuana is, as I said, the key to solving the entire drug problem.
But that's what we were thinking 25 years ago.
Right, but in 25 years ago versus today, just look at that continuum, 25 years to the day. There has been remarkable change in that. We just had a governor in the state of New Mexico come out in favor of the legalization of drugs. And we had another one up there in Minnesota that wants to legalize marijuana. We're getting to see that more and more people are coming out for not only legalization, they're coming out for things that would help the society move ahead. This drug problem has got us stuck, and we've got to move on, and the only way to move on is to go to other alternatives that'll solve the drug problem. But let me say this, I'm a person for legalization, but you don't have to believe in legalization to listen to my rhetoric. What you have to believe is that the drug war is wrong, it's not working, and it never will work.
Cliff, thanks for being with us today, and thanks for your remarkable presentation.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Patrick. My pleasure. Thank you.
We're back with Cliff Thornton here again, and Cliff has pointed out an interesting paradox having to do with the rhetoric of conservatism and liberalism in regards to the war on drugs, and maybe I'll let Cliff take it from there.
Well, I think when we consider and look at the war on drugs, and we look at legalization specifically, legalization is a very conservative concept, in that legalization attempts to limit the access to these illegal drugs to our children. Now, let's look at this realistically. Prohibition says, and Prohibition acts this way, is that as long as these drugs stay outside of the law, underground, therefore they're uncontrollable. Legalization is a very conservative concept in that it tries to bring them inside of the law and regulate and control them. That's what legalization is about. You have to understand what it is. It's a very conservative policy.
And then liberal, what would be the liberal counterpoint?
The liberal counterpoint is prohibition, in that as much as we say we want to stop drugs and keep them illegal, that is very liberal because it gives the drugs to everybody. Now, just look at this for instance. Now, we have alcohol and we have cigarettes. They are legalized, and by legalizing them,